Hey everyone! Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 have both come out now, and I'm going to be covering them both in this video. Chapter 2 especially gave us some more reveals and a little bit more of what we can expect going forward. There's still plenty that we don't know, but it seems like the music really began to own its complete identity in this episode. And we can even get our strongest hint to Crimson Dawn's eventual appearance, which I'll talk about later in this video. This is Star Wars Music Analysis. There was a sense from the beginning that this episode was stepping more out of the footsteps of The Mandalorian and more into a completely space western feeling like nothing we've ever seen or heard before. I didn't really hear anything in this episode that reminded me of the Mandalorian score, though please tell me if you disagree. The spaghetti western tributes were in full swing here though from the very beginning, which I covered already in my review of Chapter 1. Also, just like in Chapter 1, we get a cameo by Max Rebo. I feel like this is part of a pattern now that is going to lead somewhere. I mean, twice now in 2 episodes, Fett has returned to the Sanctuary. It seems like this is the epicenter of culture in Mos Espa, so it seems only fair that we can expect a third or more trips here. Will Max Rebo continue to be a part of this establishment? I posed the question before of whether Rebo had stayed on Tatooine or goes off-world since the events of Return of the Jedi. This seems to really start to determine that Rebo just stays on Tatooine, jamming. So, how does this make you think about Rebo? Is he actually that incredible of a musician, or just the guy we keep seeing on Tatooine? There's nothing actually indicating what the name of this piece is, except that in the closed captioning, when Fett and Shand enter the Sanctuary, we see it read, Fusion Music Playing, which seems a little strange. I mean, we know Rebo to normally play Jizz, yes, that's the name, but fusion music is going to have more of a rock essence to it, which I don't even really hear in this excerpt. In either case, do you think Rebo will make a three-peat appearance? I really want to see him develop more as a character on screen, now that he's the most filmed musician in all of Star Wars canon. Rebo's playing gets interrupted by this low bass drum that we hear. This reminds me of the classic moment in the Mos Eisley Cantina when Obi-Wan cuts off Ponda Baba's arm, except this time, nobody goes back to what they are doing. Instead, Fett goes outside to see this procession being led by a drummer. My first thought is that there is no way that that little drum is making that big bassy feel. I guess this is one of those things we just leave up to the Force and space magic in Star Wars. What we're actually hearing is a massive concert bass drum. What we're seeing though is a drum like the Davul of Middle Eastern music. And please guys, tell me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Davul? Davul? But it just helps to create that Middle Eastern feeling that this show keeps trying to infuse into the culture of Tatooine. This train scene to me is deceptively the most important scene in this entire chapter, and let me explain to you why. We quickly start seeing these Pykes stick their heads out, and I don't know about you, but when I saw this, I got really excited. The Pykes in any story guarantees that the story isn't going to end well for someone. But as Fett attacks the train, we get this motif again that I discuss in my Chapter 1 analysis as very likely being a connection to the Crimson Dawn. This is the most heroic and epic sounding that this theme has been yet though, and hear me out on this. Fett attacking a train chock full of Pykes is bound to bode well for him if he ever meets up with the Crimson Dawn. Think of it as he's earning Crimson Dawn brownie points. This theme, in its more heroic form now, is hinting to how he is quickly gaining favor with Crimson Dawn. And while they're not in this scene or anything yet, you have to imagine that word is going to spread of this, especially since he lets all the Pykes go. Right after this, we hear that little half-step motif go crazy as well, after the droid engineer realizes what's going on. The motif comes back over and over again in an obsessive way, and I think that this is Goranson's way of trying to subtly hint where this story is going to be going. Now, here's why I keep harping on this. We're 3 episodes in, and the Book of Boba Fett has yet to really feel like it has a purpose. I mean, it's a cool show, but so far I have no idea what it's trying to show me. What is the goal of the show? What's it bringing to the Star Wars universe that wasn't already there? This is an important question because we know that Filoni and Favreau are not interested in making shows just to make them. This show has to be leading somewhere, and a connection to Crimson Dawn, Kira, and Han Solo, or Crimson Dawn, Maul, and Obi-Wan just makes perfect sense. In either case, keep listening for this motif in future episodes. I think it's the breadcrumb trail that we should really be focusing on musically. A small but interesting musical moment comes as Fett inhales this psychedelic lizard thing and starts having a hallucination which inevitably turns out to actually be happening. My ear was drawn to these drone sounds that are actually reversed sounds. They're easy enough to create in a DAW, so I made a quick demo to show you. This is important though because it focuses on one of the biggest factors of what Göransson and company bring to the galaxy far, far away that Williams never really did much of, and that is electronic music. In everything that John Williams did, it's really harking back to 19th century opera and classical music. We miss out on an entire field of music that now we start to see introduced more into the sound of Star Wars. And I'm really excited to see how this slowly mixes into the Star Wars sound. The monk singing here is a great way to make this ritual feel, well, ritualistic, and it plays into much of the rest of the Book of Boba Fett's theme music and the male vocal chanting that we hear as well, albeit with a slightly different feeling. In Chapter 3, we get this great moment where the theme becomes calmer as the rhythms become grounded and unsyncopated, and we predominantly hear strings playing in a legato style. This helps us understand in this scene that there is no conflict in this place between Fett and the Tusken Raiders. Of course, creating a sense of no tension is how a film or show sets us up to move on from a character. Unfortunately, in this case, the moving on comes in the form of the massacre of the Tusken Raiders. Overall though, Chapter 3 didn't offer us much in the way of things to listen to, which is why I've paired it in here with Chapter 2. This becomes the fault of TV shows oftentimes in my opinion. The same music gets used and recycled to allow for fast turnover, and the result is something that is less specific or personal to the moment. Of course, I'd love to hear what all of you think about that as well, and I would love to see where you all think this show is heading in the comments below. Do you think Crimson Dawn will play a role in later scenes? But before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to learn more about the music of the galaxy far, far away, and as always, may the be with you.